What if Bakugo got one for all? Now this is kind of a weird what if, but anyway, we actually saw something like this a little bit in My Hero Academia, Heroes Rising. Basically, the plot of that movie, if you guys haven't seen it, is pretty much filler because, Bakugo can't really have one for all in the canon story. In that movie, there was another guy who had a quirk similar to All for One, and All Might gets trapped. Everybody gets trapped on this little island, and Deku had to fight this dude. That main villain was super strong, but the only difference between him and All for One is that his quirk was a little different. The main villain's name was Nine, and his quirk was basically weather manipulation. So what his quirk really did was let him control storms and weather. But he also had multiple extra abilities. He had an ability called Air Wall, which lets him create powerful invisible barriers to block attacks. Then, he could also grow these dragon-like energy constructs from his back that he used to attack opponents and stuff like that. He could also steal quirks just like All for One, but his version was nerfed. His body could only handle up to 9 quirks. That's why he's called Nine. That's a big nerf because All for One can handle as many quirks as he wants, which is super OP, but 9 is capped at 9 quirks total. He was about to steal Deku's quirk in the movie, but when he tried to take one for all, he couldn't because there were already multiple quirks stored inside of it. He didn't have enough room for it, so the transfer failed. He still realized that Deku's quirk was different and insanely powerful. But I gotta say guys, his suit was super cool. His whole design looked sick. Honestly, his suit kind of reminds me of the battle suits from Kaiju number 8. So the way Bakugo got one for all in the movie was through blood transfer. In Heroes Rising, Deku gave Bakugo his power by grabbing his hand while he was bleeding, and since Bakugo accepted the power willingly, the transfer began. It boosted Bakugo's explosion quirk, because we all know every quirk that gets stored inside one for all stacks on top of each other and becomes insanely strong. That gave Bakugo overwhelming power on par with Deku, and together they fought Nine and beat him. But enough about the movie, now we're actually getting into the real what if. So in this what if, we already know from past one for all users that if somebody already has a quirk, they don't live as long when they inherit one for all. The only reason All Might live so long is because he was born quirkless, so his body could handle one for all better than the previous users. The show explains it like this. Imagine your body is a cup of water. Your own quirk fills that cup, but once you inherit one for all, that cup starts overflowing with extra power and extra quirks your body can't handle. That's why it slowly hurts you over time. Since All Might and Deku were quirkless, their cup wasn't full in the beginning, so their bodies could handle the power without dying early. But Deku can now use all the stored quirks inside one for all, so even he is pushing his limits and shortening his lifespan. Now, here's the problem. Bakugo already has a strong quirk, Explosion. So if he got one for all permanently, he would have a huge limiter on his life. His body would break down way faster than any other user. So unless his quirk was removed somehow, Bakugo would probably pass away early. But during that time, Bakugo would still grow a lot as a fighter. So basically, we're just going to go over Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, Season 4, Season 5, Season 6, and Season 7. And explain what would happen. So in Season 1, the entrance exam arc. This is the arc that a lot of people forget about. It's where Deku broke both of his arms, destroyed the big robot, and first met his classmates to get into UA Bakugo. Would not even need one for all here. He would just use his normal explosion quirk, just like in the original timeline. Then in the quirk apprehension test arc, they learn how to use their quirks and throw the ball to see how far they can throw it. Deku broke his finger while throwing the ball in the original story, and Bakugo used his explosion throw, so that stays the same here. Then, in the battle trial arc, things start to get more interesting, because I don't think Bakugo would start using a lot of one for all this early, but he would start trying to mix it in with his quirk. Kind of like how Deku used full body cowl and put one for all throughout his body to make himself faster and stronger. Bakugo would try doing that, but use explosions to move even faster. He would still need more time to learn how to control it. Next is the USJ incident arc. This is where we first see the League of Villains, and this is where All Might comes in at the last minute and saves everyone. Deku would not do much here in this what if because he does not have one for all anymore. Bakugo would get overwhelmed in this arc and try using one for all, but still get hurt because he cannot control it fully. All Might would still show up and save everyone at the end. Then moving into Season 2, everything is mostly the same. But we do start seeing more of Bakugo using one for all. Season 3 has more of that too. Season 4 is when we really see his main powers. If you remember in Season 4, we get to see Overhaul, and he was using the little girl Eri to rewind people's bodies and take away quirks. In the original, Deku used one for all at 100% because Eri's rewind kept him from getting hurt. In this what if, Bakugo would use one for all at 100% and defeat Overhaul just like Deku did, but people wouldn't have the same emotional reaction to it because Bakugo isn't as emotional as Deku. Season 5 is the same as the original and is mostly just training and development, so not much changes here. In Season 6, we get the Paranormal Liberation War arc, which is one of the biggest arcs in My Hero Academia. Bakugo would be a huge help in this since he has one for all now. He would be one of the strongest fighters against All for One and the League of Villains. He would also be one of the main targets. Bakugo using his explosion quirk combined with one for all and unlocking quirks like Black Whip would make him extremely powerful and fast, making him one of the biggest threats to the villains. Everything still mostly happens the same in Season 6. Then Season 7 continues what happened in Season 6, and even though one of the heroes got defeated by Shigaraki, she still had a great character arc. Everything mostly happens the same, but one for all is a lot more dangerous for Bakugo because he cannot handle multiple quirks at once, and his body is already full from having a quirk of his own. Just like I explained earlier with the cup of water example, Bakugo's body would start overflowing and be damaged by using one for all. I think it would be a harder fight, but they would still come out on top in the end. With All Might's training and Bakugo's intelligence and combat ability, I think he would still win. I hope you guys like this video. Check out my main channel for more content, and make sure to like and subscribe.